Hey, my name is Christoph, and in this video, we're going to be doing a real palm reading with one of my clients. Of course, they're asking about their love life future, their career future. If that resonates with you, stick around. We got some great stuff ahead. The following was shared with client permission. All identifying information was removed for client privacy. The first area that I want to look at here, we're going to look at career first because that's the area that you wanted to look at, or at least that's the first area. Then we're going to take a look at your love life to see kind of what's going on there. So this is your career line. Okay, it's known as the headline. This is actually your heart line. That's the line for love and relationships. Your lifeline goes down this way. Of course, that's for looking at your health, how long you're going to live. You also have a line of fate that crosses up here through the middle, which is actually pretty prominent as well too, as well as the lines on the hand. Depending on the specific question that you ask, we can also look at fingers to get some answers. There's also areas of your palm known as the mounts, and there's mounts underneath each finger. There's a mount in this part of your hand. There's a mount over here on that part of your hand that I can actually look at for specific lines. Of course, once again, palm reading, answering questions about yourself, your future. Okay. But let's take a look at your headline here, the line of the head. So this line here actually is the line that focuses energy on your career. It talks about kind of logical choices and decisions. And you have actually a pretty interesting headline here in the sense that it goes really well, very strong line, and then it hits your line of fate. And we see your line of fate, it actually comes up here through the middle. And when it hits your line of fate, all of a sudden the lines disappear. In fact, they don't actually disappear. What happens is your line splits and becomes less prominent, okay? So I'm going to draw on top of your picture here, but what essentially happens is your headline goes to here, and then it kind of stops there. And the reason why it stops is because of your line of fate. And your line of fate actually comes up this way. And at that exact same point, your line of fate crosses through and ends somewhere around here. Now, the interesting part about your line of fate and this line is this is a pretty strong, powerful line. So it talks about really good, powerful, strong career. But then there's like a turning point in your life. That's usually what the line of fate actually represents. Usually represents kind of like a big, usually positive change or turning point in your life. But what ends up happening here is your career line splits into several directions, okay? So your career line actually moves in this direction. I'm drawing the lines backwards, but I'll show you in a moment. And then as well too, it almost looks like your line does one of these going in this direction. And then again, there's another little line here that's kind of coming through in that direction. So it kind of splits into almost like a star type formation, okay? And what it does is it kind of has a splitting point where line goes this way all the way through, and it kind of shatters into multiple different options. Now, when this line shatters, it splits into like almost like a fork. So area goes this way, area goes down here and splits into that direction, and then kind of fades out and disappears along these lines that kind of shoot down this way. So this actually represents stability in your career for actually a good portion of your career. And in a moment, I'll show you generally where you are on this career line, okay? But this is something that actually happens much later. And this usually represents something good when the line of fate crosses through. In this case, it doesn't. So I feel like that you're going to end up making a choice of career, and that choice of career is going to be good up until a certain point, and then something happens that basically causes you to have to kind of move in multiple directions. So when we see a line split like this, it usually means that maybe this career continues and then ends there, but the line gets weaker. And when the line gets weaker, especially when we have almost like three lines here, that are weaker, it essentially means that kind of the money flow from those particular jobs end up not being as stable. So it talks about you kind of moving in the direction of maybe having your own business or doing multiple types of career paths all at once. Now, the positive part about this is that right now on your career line, you're only about here. So you're still like so many years, you're years and years away. You're probably, I'm going to say you're probably a solid 13 to maybe 15 years away from this line of fate kind of crossing through and kind of throwing everything out the window. So this represents you having, a pretty stable career for probably about 15 years, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. And then it's almost like something happens not to you, either something happens to the company that you're working for or something happens within the world to kind of like cause things to shoot out. Now it looks like this line shoots into this direction and we can see it kind of fades out. So whatever your current career is, it looks like you continue to do it for a little while, but it's not making as much money. And then we do see another line that kind of comes through here and then it splits into kind of multiple directions. So this represents you actually continuing with whatever this current career is that you're doing over the next 15 years until it kind of fades away, but then it represents you starting something else. This something else, it looks like the energy, not of a second job, but as maybe starting your own business or something like this. So making revenue in a different manner. Because the interesting part is it starts splitting off into other directions, which it represents like multiple jobs, okay, or multiple revenue streams. And usually when you see something split off like that, usually a split off represents kind of a business, where this kind of splits off in two directions. So it represents kind of you running a business and then kind of business changes a little bit. And that's what comes through here. So at least for now, we're seeing good stability in whatever your career choice is over the course of the next 15 years. It represents you kind of staying in one thing. But as I said, around 15 years, I think I said 13 to 15 years, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less than 15 years here. There's a big change that's kind of on the way for you. Now, the exciting part about this is it talks about multiple possibilities and opportunities for your life and career, but it does talk about kind of a change to your life and a change to your career in and around 15 years from now. So do understand that whatever career choice or direction you're choosing to go into now will remain pretty stable, okay? Whatever you end up doing or choosing over the course of the next 15 years, your career path will remain stable. Even if you jump from one job to another, stability will stay in place. But understand, in and around 15 years from now, as I said, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, there's going to be kind of a life-changing event. Now, the interesting part about this is one of those two directions, I very much feel like it's you starting your own business. Now, the exciting part about that, and this is where we're getting to the exciting part, you don't have to wait until your primary job falls through, okay? You could actually start right now looking at different ways that you can make money running your own business. Maybe something that you're doing online, something that you're doing in your spare time, and you could build a business that is extremely profitable, something that you can do on your own, maybe even something from home, okay, that you could build up to something a lot stronger than your primary job within the next 10 to 13 years. So you still have a lot of time to make important changes and decisions along your career path. Now, something that is also really interesting about your headline, your career line, is how long the lifeline goes. It goes a really long way. And that's why I think it represents a business, because it represents you doing something even after you're retired, okay? So the normal age that somebody would retire. Now, normally people wouldn't work past retirement. They don't want to. But the energy kind of coming through here, it's almost like you're doing something that you enjoy. And this also makes it feel like it's something connected to you being your own boss, or you figuring out a way to make kind of money, as a business. So that's the energy kind of coming through here with that. Now, when it comes to your love life here, this line is thick and solid for what looks like your entire lifetime. So from the looks of this, it seems like you're going to be in a very stable relationship for the majority of your lifetime. Now, that being said, a relationship could end, another one could start, or you could decide to stay with this current partner for a very long time. There's not much for me to tell you that's exciting about this line, other than the fact that it is a thick line, which talks about you having a lot of love in your life, and it represents you having love in your life for a very long time. Now, currently along this line, you are, where are you? You're probably only about here on this line. So there's still a really long way to go. In fact, your lifeline is also pretty long as well too. It looks like it goes all the way down and around the corner. So it looks like you're going to most likely have a long life, provided you're taking care of yourself, you're eating the right things, you're exercising, okay? But as far as your love life, where we are now in your love life, it's going to go a really long time. And this doesn't just represent romantic love in your life. This also represents, like, people who care about you, family, friends, this sort of thing. So that loving, supporting energy. And this is a powerful line, okay? This line actually moves all the way through to this finger, and we can see the line goes all the way, and it's kind of pointing at this finger. This finger is water, okay? And that's what that finger essentially represents. Water is something that cannot be destroyed, okay? So that's the energy here that's coming through. It's pointing at this finger, which is, of course, the water finger. And I'm going to talk about water for a second, okay? So the energy connected to water can't be destroyed, okay? You can try to hit it with a hammer, it just moves away, okay? Even if you heat up water and it evaporates, it goes up into the atmosphere and it rains back down and it reforms water. Water is almost invincible, okay? If water chose to work its way through a mountain, it would take thousands of years, but water can move mountains, put holes in mountains, okay? Water is basically invincible, bulletproof, and so is the love life that you're going to have, okay? You're going to have a lot of strong, powerful, relationship energy, strong, powerful, loving energy within your life, so people that care about you a great deal. And this is love that's very difficult to change. And even if you're in a relationship and one relationship ends and one begins, you're always going to be really not that far away from another relationship, because the love energy here remains constant going through for your entire lifetime, and you're just in the early stages of experiencing that love. What a lot of insight that we have here, and what a fantastic palm reading. So many positive energies, and of course, what an interesting career line. So many possibilities there, so many different directions that this person can potentially move into. If you want your very own palm reading, happy to do one for you. Feel free to check out the links connected to this video to find out how.